Hi everyone, today we're here to talk about a story that appeared in Digiday that had quite a provocative headline. It talks about deprioritizing publishers. Caught everyone's attention, including ours, but is it overblown?
Well, I think it is, because it implies a degree of certainty that doesn't really exist. I mean, Facebook has been deprioritizing publisher traffic and then reprioritizing, and Facebook is constantly making sort of changes to its algorithms and even its business strategy. And I think that was one of the actual takeaways of the story that I had that I think is spot on, is that, sort of we're the experiment, right? We as consumers are the experiment, publishers are the experiment. We're all living in an ecosystem in a world that is constantly changing and that Facebook is constantly tweaking. So I don't think anybody knows the answer for sure, which then leads me to believe that, I think saying that they're going to completely deprioritize publishers at this point, it sort of presumes facts, not in evidence, if I were in a courtroom.
But Jim, we do know certain things, and we know that Mark Zuckerberg, for instance, gave this sort of testimonial for the new year. What did you glean from that?
Yeah, so it's interesting. Every year he posts a personal challenge, and he's gotten a lot of publicity for doing that. Like one year he learned Mandarin Chinese, and then sort of sprung that on the world by giving a speech in Mandarin. This one is interesting in that he's really sort of seeming to take to heart some of the criticism about Facebook and its impact on society. He said, very, very clearly, we don't know the answer. I don't know the answer, and I'm committing this year to explore all the different elements of government and civics, and the media was specifically called out in there. And so it sort of implies, if you'll take that post at face value, of course Facebook's going to do things that are in Facebook's interest, but I don't think he or Facebook really knows the answer. And we've talked many times before, people want to see media content in their news feed. I mean, Facebook may want to do more sharing of cat videos or personal anecdotes, and that's great, and that's an important part of Facebook, but user behavior is going to sort of drive what ultimately ends up happening.
So Jim, publishers obviously aren't powerless in all this. Give me some examples of what they can do.
Well, there's several things they can do. One is obviously what they know how to do best, which is focus on high quality content. That still matters more than everything, and we should never lose sight of that. Two is maintain some agility. It's a little bit like rebalancing your financial portfolio over the course of the year. If Facebook's getting you better or worse results versus Snap versus Apple News versus Twitter, you absolutely want to make sure you're looking at what's sort of happening in the world, not what you planned maybe 6 months ago.
Check in and see how the
check in and see how. And then third is really tied to number two, which is trust the data, right? As you know from our algorithmic, data-driven publishing approach, I mean, a lot of what you see is counterintuitive, and we very much encourage people to use the technology and use the data to get the content out in the way that's actually going to perform the best, and not what actually looks the best on the schedule, because humans tend to sort of evenly space things out because it looks nice. It looks nice. It feels, so I don't like big gaps of white space because it doesn't look right. But in reality, if you're trying to optimize attention, engagement, whatever you're going for, you're very unlikely to have a very even distribution of content.